Good afternoon. It's Saturday story time, and today you get 2 stories for the price of 1. So I'm going to tell you about a panda bear. When I started kindergarten, I was still living in the house that I was born in, and it was in a little town, and it was a nice little town. And the kindergarten teacher lived next door to us. When I went to kindergarten in the morning, she held my hand, and I think her name was Mary, just like my Mary Ann, only without an N. And then when kindergarten was over, I can remember there was sometimes a little boy. He may have been older than me. I don't know if he was in kindergarten. I don't think he was in my class. I'm not sure. But he'd walk me home. And I felt very safe in the morning with my teacher and with the boy that took care of me and walked me home in the afternoon or after school. And it was a lovely time in my life, except it wasn't a lovely time in history. World War II was in progress, and my dad wanted to volunteer to go into the service. And when he went down to enlist, they wouldn't let him. At 16, he had been in a very bad accident with a truck and a trailer, and anyway, he got between the two, and it had broken a lot of his ribs, and he was not in good shape for a while, and evidently it still showed up when he went to enlist. And fortunately, I think for the family, that it didn't happen. So what he wanted to do then was to move where they were making the battleships, and he was an excellent welder, and more he could cut really good, and that was his expertise. And so we were in the process of moving that year, and I can't remember when. My birthday is in November. I don't know, but I was given a panda bear, and it was just the sweetest little panda bear, and I loved it, and I wanted to take it to school for show and tell and show everybody my panda bear. Well, I did, and it just so happened to be the weekend we were moving, and I took it on a Friday. I forgot to bring my panda bear home, and we moved that weekend, and I lost my panda bear. Well, I had told Tom that story, and sweet Tom, he got me a panda bear the year that I was going to go down and become a manager to a Hickory Farm store, and I had to leave Tom. And so he sent me with this panda bear, and I still have it. And anyway, I had my ice cream in my deli shop, and it come to the place where we had to make a choice if I was to go and manage a Hickory Farm store. They paid really well, and Tom had really wanted to move from where we were, and so it seemed the thing to do. And I had said, first of all, I want to find out if I can find a place to live that's reasonable and close. And we did, and it was upstairs, and it was really close. So one more thing I'll tell you about my deli shop, about making sandwiches. This is just a tip. If you're making a sandwich and you've got a thick slice of meat, you're not going to get as much flavor if that thick slice of meat were sliced in several thin slices. You'd get a lot more flavor. And so when I made the sandwiches, I thin slice that meat. They got a lot of meat on their sandwiches, but it was thin sliced and it made the sandwich taste a lot better. So remember that. Thin is better than thick for flavor. You can put more on it, but make sure it's thin. Okay, back to the story. So I have to go without Tom because it's the Christmas season and he's in the middle of where his shop is. There's not a place to move his shop, and it has to stay until after he's done with all the Christmas orders. So he's basically there until January, even past, probably the middle of January. And so I move on into this apartment and start my life as a manager to Hickory Farm Store. And I can remember going to work very early, unlocking the store, getting there, and the first thing I had to do in the morning, orders came in from Hawaii and the fax machine. And I had to sort through those and get those out of the way. Then the help began to come. And I can remember there was, because of the Christmas season, the store was open later than it usually was. So there was the first shift that would come in and I'd work along with them. Then the second shift would come in, I'd work along with them. Then that night shift would come in, I'd work along with them. And then it was, they left, and then it was the paperwork and to get to the bank and to take care of that. And I can remember it was a long day, and then I'd walk home and my apartment was upstairs, and when I'd walk home I could look, and if it was moonlight I could see the snow shining over on the Boise Mountains. And it was just a neat feeling. I felt secure. I felt like it was a good feeling. And even though it was way over my head what I was doing as a manager, I'd never hired and fired people, and I had to do both. And so it was a real learning experience. It was a good experience. And finally, Tom would come down occasionally and visit with me. But it wasn't until January, after the Christmas season, finally he was able to come. Now I want to tell you what is happening back with our building, our bed and breakfast, the shop. Well, they both go on the market to sell. And Tom's shop sells first. And it was okay, at that time, he had moved his shop into the doctor's house. It had become a shop. And so we had to sell that house. And it was amazing. The man that we bought it from came back to town. He had a new wife and he wanted to buy his old house back. So we sold it to him. And then there was the building. Well, the people that we bought the building from had always wanted to redo it and make it like we had made it. They wanted to buy it back. So they did. I thought it was something that we bought it from the people and then we sold it back to the same people. And we were on our way, and now we didn't have anything except the little rented apartment. And when Tom came to live with me full time, he really didn't like my apartment. So he wanted to find another one, which we did. It must have been number 9 or something. I can remember we called it Cloud 9. It wasn't upstairs. It wasn't in the clouds. I can remember it had a big, beautiful bedroom, a big, nice bathroom, but the worst kitchen I'd ever had in my life. But somehow we made it do, and there we were. And Tom, even for a while, managed the apartments there. But as I would go to work and manage the store, Tom would go and start looking for land or looking for a new place. And it had to meet some criteria. It had to have a good shop building, and it had to fit us. And next week, I'll tell you what he found, because one day he does call and he said, I think I found it. I found it. I want you to come look when you're done with, when you can get off. And he was super excited. And I'll tell you next week what we got. So till then, have a good day. Get yourself a panda bear. Bye now.